after penning another terrific Football Morning in America column that can be seen on all of NBC sports platforms, including Pro Football Talk, is Peter King. How are you, PK?
Rich Eisen, how are you?
I'm doing better for talking to you. That was so much fun yesterday.
It was fantastic. It was a great day. And, the reason why we're all sort of addicted to these 16, 18 weeks, whatever it is, however long you watch, the reason we're all addicted is that every week something really, really interesting happens. And so I'm sitting there yesterday. I've got to try to figure out what is the most interesting thing most weeks in the NFL to write about. And so I looked at the Green Bay New Orleans game. I looked at every game, but I looked at the Green Bay New Orleans game, and I just thought to myself, it's amazing and ridiculous that the Packers lost 38-3, and that's a fascinating topic to go into. But it wasn't long ago that we left Jameis Winston for dead laying on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And look what Jameis Winston has done right now. And again, no one knows if this is an outlier. No one knows. You just have to let it play out. But he couldn't have had a better first day in his new partnership with Sean Payton. And I thought that really the most interesting thing that I learned about the NFL this weekend is when I asked Jameis Winston, what is the play about this game that you'll remember? What's your favorite play of this game?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me my favorite play was a ball that I threw away late in the first quarter.
Love it.
And because it says so much about where he was and where he is now, that it's a good play sometimes to throw it in the first row of the bleachers.
And it when you hear that, you think to yourself, well, that must be drummed into his head quite a bit by, every coach that's in his ear from Sean Payton on down. And it's also got to be just a maturation process that comes with watching last year and going through whatever he went through in Tampa and him speaking. We played the soundbite earlier in the first hour, Peter, of him talking about how this is for the city of New Orleans and, taking on the mantle of leadership. It's just great to see. Just terrific to see.
And look, and the other thing he told me yesterday is that, first of all, he was in middle school when the Breeze-Payton marriage began and in New Orleans, and he grew up in Alabama, so they got the Saints games on Sunday. And he started to watch it, and he said, that's when I started to say, man, what a dream it'd be to be in that offense. It's so quarterback-friendly. And so yesterday before the game, there was something he really wanted to say to Sean Payton that he's been thinking about ever since he signed with the Saints a year and a half ago, that, this is like a dream for me to be the quarterback of this team. And so that plus the fact that when you're around a guy like Drew Brees who focuses on process and not on the scoreboard. Look, everybody in life has to be scoreboard oriented. I get it. But Brees always used to say, both to Winston, to Taysom Hill, to all the guys who've been quarterbacks in his room over the years, forget the score, forget the scoreboard. Just make every play as perfect as you can. Focus on the process of being a great player. And so that's really what has happened now with Jameis Winston, that, every play, he wants to win every play. And if you throw an interception or a pick six, his last play in Tampa Bay Bucks history was a pick six against the Atlanta Falcons in the final game of 2019 that Bruce Arians, after the game and thought about it, he said, well, if we don't have any other alternatives, we'll bring him back. But we're not going to bring a guy back who is so careless with the ball. And so last year, just sitting there watching was great for Jameis Winston.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. And Peter, it really is amazing how things play out in the NFL. It's a week-to-week league, as I know, but we're just obviously looking at the snapshot of week one. If I had told you late May, early June, deep in the abyss of Rodgers is never playing another snap for the Packers again, deep in that abyss, that not only would Rodgers play for the Packers in week 1, but the result would be so dreadful that Jordan Love would get in the game and actually get his first snaps as a Green Bay Packer quarterback because of the complete lack of everything that Rodgers and the Packers were able to do. I mean, what a mind-blowing week 1 result for Green Bay. What's your takeaway from that?
Well, I think right now week 2 becomes really, really important for this team. And I think they'll play well. There's no reason to suggest that this is going to be a continuum at all. And I just don't believe it will be. I believe the Packers will come back, play very well, will be fine, and Rodgers will be great again this year. The only thing that bothered me about that game yesterday, from the Green Bay standpoint, is that I never saw one piece of evidence in 3 hours and 15 minutes of any Packers being really pissed off and basically grabbing the game by the throat and say, we're not going down this way. They just took it. And, look, Aaron Rodgers is not one of these demonstrative. Demonstrative leaders. He's more of a leader by example and a quiet leader with guys in the huddle. He'll talk to them, but he doesn't ream people out and all that stuff. I mean, to me, I really think that – I noticed that a lot yesterday, and I said somebody had better, spend some time this week saying that this is never going to happen again. It can't just be left unspoken. And so that is the only thing about yesterday that really worries me. Almost how flippant the Packers were about getting their rear ends kicked like an Aaron Rodgers team has never gotten beat in 14 years as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. The week 1 result for the Browns, what do you think about that? Because they got Mahomes. A lot of teams have gotten Mahomes, but that's the second time where they could have actually out-Mahomes, then could not.
The difference this time, Rich, is that this time they didn't have the benefit of a Chad Henne half of football to basically stay in the game and to have a chance to win late. This time they were going toe-to-toe, and they were even beating Mahomes. Obviously. And, Rich, I think they would have won this game, or there's a very good chance they would have won this game without one of the most incomprehensible plays any of us has seen, and that is a punter dropping a ball that is right in his hands and seeming to just do a total, absolute choke job that handed the Kansas City Chiefs the winning points of the game. Handed the Chiefs, an 11-yard field to score a touchdown to win the game. And again, you can definitely blame Baker Mayfield for trying to do too much on the interception he threw to Mike Hughes, on the last drive. You can blame him, and maybe you should blame him. But he was in the process of throwing when Daniel Sorensen came up behind him and was tackling him. And so it's hard for me to blame Mayfield on that play. But clearly, the Browns should grow from that, and the Browns are a really good team. I still, don't know if they're a Super Bowl team. And that game yesterday was a discouraging game, I would think, for those who think that, the Browns are ready to bash the door down.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show after the first Sunday of 2021. And tonight on Monday Night Football's radio coverage that I'll be hosting on Westwood One between the Vegas Raiders and the Baltimore Ravens. Peter King will be joining me on halftime of that broadcast right here on the Rich Eisen Show. At the moment, though, I was at the opener last night here at SoFi, Peter.
How'd you like it, Rich?
Unbelievable. And I was mentioning that. It may be the first time the Los Angeles Rams, the LA Rams, have ever had a home field advantage quite like that. It was loud.
Yeah.
It was like a rock concert. I got home an hour later. It was still ringing in my ears. And it's just the general sense of whatever the team must have felt when, Stafford showed up and did what he did last night, 20 of 26, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns. J.B. Long, who calls the games locally here, tweeted out that with TD passes of 67 and 56 yards in his Rams debut, that's the first time Stafford has multiple touchdown passes of 55 or more yards in a game for the first time in his career. He gets the game ball. It's a beautiful new stadium for the team. Fans are going crazy. I'd be on the lookout if I'm the rest of the NFL, of not just strolling in that building, which is what Tom Brady's going to do in a couple of weeks, but just the way the team must be feeling right now. I'm wondering what you could tell me, anything from your insider position of what you've heard or what you've talked about leading up to this or after last night about this. Peter.
Well, Rich, I spent some time in training camp with Sean McVay, and much less time with Stafford and Aaron Donald. But here's what I thought coming out of that camp, okay, that Sean McVay has an encyclopedia in his brain of plays he wants to run. And I believe that if there were 26 volumes in the World Book Encyclopedia when we were kids, and they would be on our shelves, and we would take out the L and look at, whatever we wanted to look up for research in the L's, that in my opinion, I think that when Jared Goff was the quarterback of the Rams, that Sean McVay did not feel comfortable using every volume in his encyclopedia. And I think now he looks at Matthew Stafford as really kind of a complete player. Not that Goff was not going to get to that point, but Goff was more of a student and Stafford is more of a peer. And I think that is why, honestly, Rich, that's really the reason why I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl. I think that that is, and look, they don't have the margin for injury like teams like Tampa Bay do, okay? But I do believe that they're going to have a really great chance as long as they can open up every week and call, almost any play that McVay desires. And the one thing that really stuck out to me, Rich, is, look, 8.5 yards is usually right around the best yards per attempt in the NFL every year, maybe up to 9 yards, okay? But yesterday in his debut, Stafford's yards per attempt was 12.5. And what that says is he's not only being accurate and making almost every pass count, but he's also hitting plays downfield. And that is what Sean McVay desperately has wanted in his offense. An efficient, quick strike downfield thrower. And now he's got one. So, we'll see how far they go.
Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. A couple more minutes left. All right, Peter, I'll just open it up to you and what you found out last night. What was your favorite quote that you got from Sunday's coverage? Give me that one. Which one did you like? Talking to somebody, or you heard, or you read, anything like that?
I would say probably the one that, when I'm asking Jameis Winston about his favorite play, and he says, it's the ball he's going to throw out of bounds. And he said to me, he goes, listen, I was going to throw that ball so far over his head that even Shaq couldn't intercept it. And so that to me, it just says that, hey, throw it away and live for another day. The one other one, Rich, about yesterday that I thought was really cool, I was talking to Tyrod Taylor after the game. And, hey, look, hats off to Tyrod Taylor. What a guy. What a performance. I mean, everything that guy has been through, I've got great admiration for him. But I asked Tyrod Taylor about the national anthem because I don't know about you, Rich, but I was blown away by that girl who was 6 years old when her dad was on the 102nd floor of the World Trade Center. And he was just working a regular day in the United States of America. And he, like 2,700 others in those buildings, never came home. And she is now 26, has the voice of an angel, and had it together to be able to sing the national anthem right by her dad's inscribed, name at the memorial at 9/11 in Lower Manhattan. And Tyrod Taylor told me, he said, man, that was really, really emotional to see that. He said the whole stadium was emotional. Those are the two things from yesterday that I remember.
Peter, I'll talk to you later. I look forward to it. Thanks again for this, Peter. Terrific.
Sounds great, Rich. All the best.
You're the man. That's Peter King, at Peter_King on Twitter. Must follow as his Football Morning in America column. Always a must read. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.